Well, I want to thank everybody for being here today. Up in the courtroom today, we saw the sentencing of a man who was a monster. Justin Christian received 35 years today for the horrific crimes he's committed upon his community. What happened is every family's, every parent's, every community's worst nightmare. And it was through the great teamwork of the partners that you see standing next to me, behind me, and through the hard work of my staff and my prosecution team, that this crime spree committed by a monster has been brought to a halt. This case utilized, for the first time in the state of Ohio, familial DNA testing that enabled law enforcement agencies to apprehend Mr. Christian. And I want to start out by first thanking Attorney General DeWine for utilizing, for the first time in the state of Ohio, that testing that led to this defendant. I'm going to allow several people to speak. We're going to speak today and talk to you about the important role, but on a personal level, I want to thank the Attorney General for the hard work of his staff, his investigators, and his analysts at the BCI laboratory in Ridgefield. I want to thank FBI Special Agent in Charge Stephen Anthony for his officers who put in countless hours, his special agents who tracked down suspects throughout this state searching for this defendant. Chief Calvin Williams from the city of Cleveland. You know, this horrific crime started in the city of Cleveland. It was through the countless hours his detectives, his officers on the street put in a relentless effort to apprehend Mr. Christian. Elyria Police Chief Dwayne Whiteley. The first crime, what we believe to be the first crime, but we also suspect Mr. Christian may have done more. We are going to continue to investigate Mr. Christian's activities to see if he has in fact committed more crimes. But Chief Whiteley, his officers also did a tremendous job. It was through their initial DNA testing on the ladder for the first attempted kidnapping that helped us solve this case. Sheriff Cliff Pinckney from the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office, his staff also worked and assisted law enforcement in bringing this matter to a conclusion. Finally, Dr. Thomas Gilson. Dr. Gilson's staff, not just on this case, but in every case, their DNA testing, the work of their analysts, working with the analysts from the BCI office in Ridgefield, really helped put this case together. Dr. Gilson's staff doesn't just do it on high-profile cases. They do work with our drugs arrests. They do work with our burglaries, our robberies. Their DNA testing and their analysts and the work done by their analysts helps to solve countless crimes throughout this county as well. And I want to thank Dr. Gilson for the hard work and the work of his staff. Let me turn this over next to Attorney General DeWine. Again, it was through his decision to allow familial testing in this case for the first time in the state of Ohio that enabled law enforcement working as a team to take this monster off the street. Thank you.
As Prosecutor O'Malley said, this is, really a parent's worst nightmare. When you go to bed at night, children in the home, the worst thing you can imagine is if someone's going to come through the window and try to take your child out of there, or actually succeed in taking the child out. This is really has been a team effort. Sometimes we talk about team efforts and people kind of wonder if it's true, but different departments behind me did a phenomenal job. And this was really a lot of it, basic, good, hard police work, old-fashioned police work. As the prosecutor said, this is the first case that we use, in the state of Ohio for family DNA. We believe 10 other states do it. The majority of states do not yet do it. If there ever was a case that cried out for the use of family DNA, it is this case. The criteria that we have in the Attorney General's office includes that it needs to be a crime of violence, and it needs to be a case that does not appear as if it will be resolved. We will know who did it without the use of family DNA. To put it in basic layman's terms, this is kind of what happened. And this is from the non-scientific explanation. These cases occur when we have unknown DNA, as we did in this case, in these cases. And you put it into the database, and there's no match. There's no match to a known DNA. If there's a match to a known DNA, bam, we have the person. Case is put together, and you move on. But what do you do in the case where there is no match at all? The scientists at BCI, through special software, have the ability to go in and determine what might be a relative. They basically come back, and you can do it through the mail, has to be through the mail, and it can be father-son, or it can be going the other way, brothers. What comes back is 200 potential matches, and then the scientists have to start going through those to find the most likely match. If there is a person in there that is close, that could be a relative, could be a brother, for example, then that information goes back to our special investigation unit. They do some additional work outside of that testing, and then it goes to the police departments involved, and they have to end up putting this together. So unlike DNA where you have a solid match, this is just one more tool. But in this case, it turned out to be a tool that really solved the case, along with the great work done by these police departments. This is the first time we've used it. It is not going to be the last. We have 3 or 4 other cases right now that are ongoing in the state of Ohio, and that we hope, once we finish, will in fact lead us to the perpetrator, to the violent criminal. Again, congratulations to this great team here today.
Steve Anthony, Special Agent in Charge, Cleveland FBI Office.
Thank you, Prosecutor O'Malley. Justin Christian is the stranger we warn our children about. It has been said we want to believe in our heart of hearts that monsters don't exist. And Justin Christian proved that they do exist. And thanks to the hard work of the prosecutor's team and everyone that touched this case for many, many months, he will not be able to victimize any more children or families for the next 3.5 decades. I want to thank the community too, because as you know, this is a process, and through the great work of Attorney General DeWine and his group and the prosecution team, we were able to finally identify Mr. Christian. But the work of the community and the media, you all, for several months to get information out, to get leads and tips into the Cleveland Division of Police, the Elyria Police Department, the FBI, all the other partners, the Sheriff's Office, was simply amazing. It really is a role model in the way that it should work. When you're coming together as a group to put a monster like Justin Christian behind bars for a long time. And that's what happened today. So again, just want to thank all the investigators and all the folks that put in countless hours, and the community itself that gave us vital information throughout the process, and the media that made it all possible. Thank you.
Chief Williams.
Well, good afternoon. First off, I want to thank Prosecutor O'Malley and his staff for the great job they did in this prosecution. Attorney General DeWine and the State BCI Crime Lab, without their work, without their dedication to making sure that we come up with every lead possible, we would not have solved this case. Definitely our partners from law enforcement, Sheriff Pinckney and his folks, the FBI, they were there the night this event happened, on the scene, and worked this case throughout. Our partners from Elyria, usually our cases stayed pretty much within Cuyahoga County. This time it went outside the county. And it's just a testament to law enforcement here in Northeast Ohio. It doesn't matter whose case it is. We'll all definitely get together and do everything possible within our own jurisdictions to make sure we solve these cases. You know, it's been said time and time again, you know, a monster is off our streets. And that's the main thing to remember here. And it's due to all the hard work of the folks behind me, their staff, the people in their jurisdictions that allowed this to happen. I can't stress enough that our community definitely stepped up to the plate and gave countless leads to our FBI partners, our county sheriff partners, and the Division of Police to make sure we were able to leave no stone unturned in this investigation. So, as usual, it's a partnership not only with law enforcement partners, but our community here in Northeast Ohio, because we can't do this alone. So again, I want to thank everybody involved in this. They did a great job, and this animal is off our streets for a long time, and we hope to keep them off the streets for even longer if that's possible. So I want to thank you for coming and listening to us today. I know that Prosecutor O'Malley and his folks have a few things to tidy up, so I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Whitley from Elyria.
First, our first order of business is to try to get the monster off the street, and it took a while and a lot of work to do that. I can tell you firsthand the number of hours that the detectives put in. They take this stuff very personally, and they just don't quit, and it's true across the board at every level. Secondly, the concern goes to the victims and the families. And I can tell you through talking with everybody back here, that has not been left undone either. The steps have been taken to help them out wherever possible. One of the things that you've already heard from everybody else talking about here is the teamwork. Every level, you're talking local with, you know, Cleveland PD, Elyria PD, and state with Ohio DCI&I, and then the federal level with the FBI, all working as one unit to get a monster off the street. And this is not new. This is how it works in law enforcement. We're not a bunch of different teams, we're all one team, and whatever we can do to help the other one get it done, we do. This is just a perfect example. So today is a good day. We got the monster behind bars, and it makes the community feel all that much safer. And hopefully we won't have to deal with that again, but if we do, we know we got the backup of everybody here to get it done. Thank you.
Cuyahoga County Sheriff Clifford Pinckney.
Thank you, Prosecutor. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'll be real brief because you've heard it time and time again about the teamwork that was displayed here today to get this monster off our streets. This is just a textbook example of what we do day in and day out every day. And I just want to commend and recognize the officers from day one to the end, to today, to get this guy off our street. They did a tremendous job, and I really wanted to thank them for their hard work. But also, I don't want this to be remiss in the work that you guys did out there in the community as well as the media. We couldn't do this without you either. So, again, I just want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your hard work, and thank the Attorney General for showing up here today, and his kind words, and the prosecutor and everyone else here. So, thank you.
And finally, we have Dr. Gilson here from the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office. It has long been the dream of law enforcement that we have a crime lab within our county. And under the stewardship of Dr. Gilson, we now have a crime lab that is exceptional and second to none. I want to thank Dr. Gilson for his work and introduce him. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
I feel like everybody else has talked about teamwork already, but I can't stress it enough that was a real critical part of what we do. And I thank Prosecutor O'Malley and Attorney General DeWine for their kind remarks about our laboratory. I think anytime we see a crime like this that affects children, it certainly raises an increased level of urgency, top to bottom, from law enforcement working directly on the street to people in the laboratory who feel that this could be their own child. I think in the 30 years that we've had DNA as a tool to use in criminal investigations, it's proven to be a very powerful ally, and I have to give the Attorney General and the prosecutor an A+ on their summary of the science of what was involved here. What we had was a DNA profile for somebody we knew was committing terrible crimes because we could link them, but we didn't have who that person was. And I salute them for their innovation in approaching this so that we could potentially find a match in a family member and use that as an investigative lead. I'd be very remiss if I didn't acknowledge my DNA unit, Dr. Butt, who was the director there, and Celicia and Jeffrey, who were the analysts, as well as our county executive, who continues to fund our laboratory. And I do agree that we work very, very well with our partners down in DCI in getting good results. Half of the DNA in this case is from DCI, half is from our regional laboratory. And I think we work very well together to put this case to rest and to take really a very bad person out of our community. I would say too that thanks go to our law enforcement. I think sometimes we see attractive things like DNA and we say DNA cracked that case. DNA gave a lead in this case. This case was solved by law enforcement following up on that lead. And I'm very proud to be a part of Prosecutor O'Malley, Attorney General DeWine, Chief Williams, and Chief from Elyria, whose name I slipped. And Cliff Pinkney, our sheriff. But I thank you very much and be happy to stick around for any questions.
Finally, I just want to thank my trial team, Anna Feralia, Andrew Gotti, and Matt Meyer, who on behalf of the residents of this county and the residents of Lorraine County doggedly pursued these charges and led to the results that we saw today, which is that Mr. Christian will be doing 35 years at a minimum behind bars. So thank you, my own team. We're here for questions. If anybody has any questions.
Given that familial DNA testing has been around for a while, and it seems like it was so crucial to this case, why was it so difficult to approve that and to get the ball rolling with local testing?
I approved it in Ohio, I believe, 3 years ago, internally, that we would start using it. It is something that is been around for a little while, but you know, I can't tell you exactly how long. But we had to go through validation. We had to go through all the things that scientists do to make sure that when we get the results, that we can validate the results and we can be sure that we've done what we're supposed to do. I think it also, quite candidly, there may be some controversy connected with it. I don't find it controversial. I think that you know, we've been derelict in our duty if we did not use it in a case like this. But you know, it does involve, at least from the investigation point of view, putting a finger on someone who didn't do it, and then trying to take it from there and figure out, you know, who that person is. Is that a brother? Is there somebody out there who was in fact the perpetrator, who was in fact the unknown DNA? The other thing that it does involve is it is very labor intensive. You certainly cannot do this in every case. The way it is done, as I said, you come back with really 200 potential individuals, and then the scientists have to go through these one by one and look at that. So certainly not something you can do in every case, but we are into this. We believe that this case should demonstrate to those skeptics who might be out there, or those people who think that this is some invasion of someone's privacy, that we have to use this. We have the ability to use it. We have this tool, and as long as I'm the Attorney General, we're going to continue to use this tool.
Amen.
What percentage results in 200 suspects of possible vandalism? Is it 10%? Is it 80%?
No, I can't do that for you. We can get that for you. What you're looking for is what is the closest match. You know, basically, you get 100 that come out. Actually, a total of 200, and they have to go through those. But you know, my understanding is that in this particular case, they really have ended up with one out of that 200, and then they went from there.
Anything else? I'd just like to thank again the news media for the work and the efforts you put into helping solve this case, and thank you for being here today. And again, thank you to our partners. Thank you.
our kids to